Hi everyone, Ashley here and welcome to another video on the Penguin Palace Stamps YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing this fun critter-filled scene using the newest stamp set from Penguin Palace Stamps. This is their Sweetest Truck stamp set and it came as part of their Spring 2020 release. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm starting by stamping out all of the images that I want to use on this card. So like I mentioned, a lot of them come from the new stamp set, the Sweetest Truck. And the stamp set's really cute because it comes with this adorable truck, it's an ice cream truck, and then a whole bunch of little ice cream images. You can see I'm trying to line them up on the paper here to kind of squeeze them in wherever I can. And basically what I knew that I wanted to do was create a scene with the ice cream truck and then a whole bunch of critters around eating the ice cream from it. The stamp set itself actually comes with two cute little children images, so a boy and a girl, and then the little two actually options of critters that you can put in the window of the truck. So for this card I chose the little bear, but there's also a little child that you can put in the window of the truck, and then two children that stand outside of the truck. But for this card I wanted to make it more of like a critter party, a critter ice cream party. So instead of using the two children that come with the stamp set, I went back to some older Penguin Palace stamp sets, such as their Track and Field stamp set and their Fun Night Out stamp set, which has that cute little dancing dog, I guess, and then the Track and Field set has the little rabbit and the dinosaur. So I wanted to make it a critter ice cream party, so I took those critters from those other stamp sets, and I'm planning to have them kind of standing around the ice cream truck, holding the ice cream and enjoying it. So I went ahead and stamped all of these images out with some black ink. I'm using a Copic friendly black ink this time. I'm using My Favorite Things Extreme Black Ink. This is just a really nice Copic resistant ink so that it won't bleed when you use your Copic markers to color in the images. I also stamped out a bunch of music notes because I wanted it to look like the ice cream truck was playing some music. The My Sweetest Truck stamp set also comes with a few little sentiments that you can put onto the truck itself to kind of show what it's selling. So I'm just stamping out ice cream onto the front of the truck there so that it's obvious that it's an ice cream truck if it wasn't before. But they also have other sentiments too, like sweets and things like that. So if you wanted to make it a different kind of truck, you could. So I'm going to go ahead and color in all of these images with my Copic markers. I'm using my typical Copic coloring technique where I use a dark shade and a light shade and just blend them together. I often go back to the dark shade just to add an extra layer of dark dimension to the layering as well. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video here and play some music. If you want to watch all the coloring, please feel free to sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you don't want to watch the coloring, then of course you can skip ahead in the video and watch the rest of the card come together afterwards. So I will see you in a bit. Okay, so all the coloring is done, and I've done a few things off camera here. I've gone ahead and die cut out all of these images using the coordinating dies. So Penguin Palace Stamps actually sells separately coordinating dies for I think all of their stamp sets, which is really handy when you want to just get things cut out really nicely and cleanly and quickly. I've also gone ahead and cut out some pieces of the card that I'm going to use for the background. So I cut out a piece of nice light green paper for the grass, and then a piece of light blue cardstock for the sky. For the sky, I actually embossed it using a die that just embosses some stitched clouds, which I thought would add to the scene really nicely. And I cut both of those pieces out using the Dots Meets Dashes rectangle dies from Penguin Palace Stamps. This is a new die set that they've come out with as part of their Spring 2020 release as well, and it's just a really nice set because it cuts out just basic rectangle shapes but with a really cool stitching pattern along the edges with a combination of dots and dashes. So I used that on both the grass and the sky just for continuity. I also cut out the word truck out of letters using a letter die set, so just the letters T-R-U-C-K, and I'm going to be using those as part of the sentiment. As I'm speaking, I'm just gluing some of these images together, so I glued the ice cream cones into the hands of the critters, and I glued the little teddy bear that's selling the ice cream into the window of the truck, and now I'm just gluing some acetate into the back of the truck, because I really wanted it to look like a shiny window. I didn't want it to just be clear, I wanted it to look like there was actual window glass there. So this is just a really tiny detail, but I just thought it would be nice. So I'm just using some liquid glue to adhere that piece of acetate onto the back of the truck, and then when you turn the truck over front side up, you'll see that that plastic kind of shines through in a nice kind of window-like way. So I'm going ahead and putting the rest of the card elements together now. I'm taking that blue piece that I mentioned I had embossed some cloudy patterns into, and I'm just gluing that down with some liquid glue onto a white card base. And the size of the die that I used to cut this piece out, the Dots Meets Dashes die, was actually the largest one that comes in the set, so it does take up the entire card front. So there's no space for border or anything, but I thought that was nice for a change to just have the entire scene laid out onto the card, filling up the entire size. When that's glued down nicely, I can then take some liquid glue and adhere down the grassy piece as well. So just filling it all in with glue and then lining it up along the bottom of the card there so that it acts as the grass for the scene. And then I can just press down to make sure that it's really adhered nicely. And that's a good thing about liquid glue, is that you can kind of wiggle it around until you get the placement that you want and then just stick it down. And once it's stuck, it is stuck. It's not coming up. But you do have like that couple seconds of wiggle room to just fix any mistakes that might have been made. I decided to adhere down a bunch of the critters using foam squares so that they're elevated up from the card front, and this just gives some nice levels of dimension and adds a little bit of detail. So I added a bunch of foam squares behind that truck, and then I lined it up with my tweezers to make sure that it was nice and straight along the card, and I wanted it to be centered as well. And then I can kind of just choose where I want all the other critters to be along the card, sort of just placing them where I think they should go, and then again putting some foam squares behind them, pulling up the release paper, and then just sticking them down. So I've done that now with the dinosaur and with the bunny, and now I'm moving on to that cute dog. By the way, this dog, like I mentioned, it came from the Fun Night Out stamp set by Penguin Palace Stamps, and it originally had those little dance motion lines around it, but if you don't want it to be dancing, it's super easy to just cut those lines out and then it can just be standing there with ice cream. I also went ahead and stamped out some parts of the sentiment onto some thin strips of green paper that match the grass color, and then lined them up along the card to spell out the whole sentiment here. So I've got wishing you in the top left corner, and then truck again was those big letters that I cut using some letter dies, and I just cut them out of a nice yellow paper. And then I've got to the right there, I've got loads of and happiness. So overall the sentiment says wishing you truckloads of happiness. And those small parts of the sentiment that are stamped out onto the strips do come from the Sweetest Truck stamp set, and they've got a few different options for sentiments in that set, which is really nice. Finally, I'm going ahead and gluing down all those music notes around, and then the card is complete. I really like how you can use so many different types of things with this little truck stamp set. So you don't have to feel stuck with the images that do come in the stamp set. You can go back to other stamp sets you might have and make it an ice cream party for really any type of critter, which is super fun. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!